Okay, kindergarten, today we are going to make our birds of color piece of artwork. I have the example on the board for you to reference. First thing you need to do when you get your new piece of paper is write your name on the back in a corner so that if you mess up, you can turn the paper over. You're going to start out with a circle template. I'm using a blue one today so you can see it very easily on my paper. You're going to trace your circle 6 times. You got to hold it down in the center, overlap the circle with the one you first trace so that you have overlapping circles. There's 2, 3. Moving my pencil around the circle. If you have trouble with this, maybe have your neighbor help you. Make it a little easier. They can hold this circle while you trace. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm going to have these guys overlap a lot so I can get 6 on the paper because I did not space these out right. And look, I messed up tracing too. Got to erase and just smooth that out a little bit. I'm going to let this guy hang off because I ran out of room. So there's your 6 circles traced at the bottom using a pencil. Those will be the bodies of your birds. Then what you're going to do, on your tray, you'll have your watercolors, your water container with your paintbrush, and you are going to just first drip a little bit of water into each of your colors. We are only going to use red, orange, yellow, green, blue, and purple today. Even if there's just a little bit of color in there, if you get them nice and wet, they will work perfectly. All right, they're all wet. I'm going to slide my water container out of the way. First thing I'm going to do is paint my red bird. And you're going to realize that we have to stop and let these guys dry a little bit. Make sure you guys can see all of this. You're going to paint the red bird very slowly around the edge, making sure that you push that watercolor all around. Now I've only dipped once because my paintbrush is really wet. I'm able to keep my paintbrush bristles nice and happy. I'm holding it like a pencil so that I can control where my paint is going. Before I change colors, I need to rinse my paintbrush, dry it off on the paper towel, make sure it's nice and clean, and then go back to my paints. Now, after red is orange, but since red is still wet, I'm going to skip and then do yellow. So I'm skipping orange and going to yellow. These are the primary colors. We've talked about this when we review our art words and our cards on the carpet. So we're using the primary colors first, red, yellow, and then I will do blue next. Again, slowly around the edges. I only had to dip once, so I can go back and clean my brush out. Check to make sure it's clean. And then I'm going to blue. So I'm going to skip. Blue goes here. Just checking to make sure I'm in the right space. Slowly around the edges. And then fill in your circle. You can go a little faster when you're filling in the circle. Pull in that paint from the edges. Make sure you get all the way to the edge so we don't see your pencil lines. And then clean my brush. Those are our primary colors. Now we're going to use the secondary colors. Red is pretty dry. My finger's not picking up any color, so I can do orange now. Orange goes here. Paint in all of the orange space. Slowly around the edges, and you can go faster in the middle. Make sure that's nice and neat. Clean my brush. Red, orange, yellow, now green. Yellow is still a little wet, but it's not where I'm going to be painting over it, so I think we'll be okay. So green goes here. And I'm going to go over top of where the yellow is and over top of where the blue is so that that whole circle is green. I need a little more color over here. Paint in that whole space. And last color, but certainly not least, rinse that brush, is purple. One of my favorite colors. And purple goes over here on top of blue. Remember, I let this circle fall off my paper. Hopefully you didn't have that problem. You got them all to fit, so I'm going to go carefully so I don't get it all over the table. And there's purple. Now, we cannot do much else with our paper today because we need to let it dry. What I want to do, though, is add just a little bit of color to the sky above our birds and a little bit of color to the ground below our birds. I'm going to use blue in my sky, a lot of water, and a little bit of color just to create what looks like some wispy clouds. I'm going back and forth in a vertical pattern, not up and down, just back and forth, to give our birds a little bit of a sky. Almost to the edge, but not completely. And I'm going to come down as close as I can get to the birds without touching them. And then I'm going to clean my brush off because I am happy with how my sky looks. And then I'm going to add a little grass for the birds to stand in down here at the bottom. Again, going back and forth, left to right in a vertical pattern. A little more water here. Try not to get it all over the table. Just to give our birds a little bit of grass to stand on, I might bring it up a little bit higher so that they have nice, pretty green grass to stand on. Next week, we will finish adding the details to the birds, and then we will trace them with a black crayon so that we know where all our birds are and all of our colors. Have fun!